Well, now we have the sight that many people have been waiting for around the country. It's the return of the Formula Ones to British tracks here now on Screen Sport. Of course, we had the Formula Ones at Barlow from the January meeting. Not many of those. We've got plenty, though, here at Northampton this afternoon. On the front row of the grid, Vic Milner in car number 41. He's from Nottingham. Alongside him is number 430. That's Mick Crocker from Barwell. Well, starter Pete White is just kicking the tarmac, walking away from the cars, waiting for them to come into line. Yes, now they're setting off on the rolling lap before the 16-lap race. Heat 1 of the County Cup here at Northampton, this first Solars meeting of 85. Well, certainly quite a field of white tops out there. Included in there is number 272, Dennis Witherford, number 329, Stuart Young, 193, Paul Ward, and also 293, Rob Allen, 446, Steve Booth. The red tops, 354, Richard Ainsworth, 452, Joe Jopling. In view there, a long distance traveller down from Darlington. Also out is 36, Rod Falding. Well, we were hoping for Bert Finnikin in this race, but no sign of the former national points champion from Leek here in this meeting so far. So it's Falding, Jopling and Ainsworth, the three Stargrade drivers. Last season Jopling finished 10th in the 84 points chart, Ainsworth finished 8th and Rod Falding finished 19th. Starter Pete White now up on the rostrum, ready to bring this first Formula One race of the season underway here at Northampton. There's the green flag. And the 85 season well and truly underway now as the cars head down the home straight. It's Milner against Crocker out in front. And Milner's gone wide, taking Crocker with him. That's let one of the white tops through, and it's getting greasy out there. They're spinning, the barrels are spinning as well. 459 leaping through there. Chris Paxford's yellow top. Mick Crocker having a heck of a job there trying to keep the steering in on the turn. And there's Crocker's car going out into the fence. They're having problems with the circuit now, taking a bit of rain onto a dry tarmac top. And you can see the problems, the car's snaking all over the place. That lets Rod Falding through in car 36. There's 139 to Chesterfield, Stu Smith. 452 Joe Jopling collecting car 408 Tom Lorimer, complete novice to racing, going off the back of the grid with the black cross on the back, collecting Joe Jopling there. That's not a very nice start for an obviously nervous newcomer there in the shape of Tom Lorimer. So he took Jopling out there. There is the leading car coming down the home straight, number 117, Rob Scriven from Cirencester. That's an unusual neck of the woods to get a Formula One driver from. Car 285 driving through on the inside, and 285 is through. So Scriven has been overtaken there on the turn. You just saw the 430 car piled up into the fence. 474 going through the yellow top car. Now along number 279 spinning out on the turn. Quite a battle there with the yellow working through the whites. 161 just going past the camera there. Kevin Lowe from Blaby in Leicestershire. There's Falding looking for the gap through on the inside. He's past Smith. 104 out there. Blue top 104 car. It's showing up well at the moment. Though it's an interesting position out in front. There's Graham Askham being challenged by 474, the race leader. 474 out in front in this race here at Northampton. Hemmingway in the yellow top, 474. Rod Falding working through. Stu Smith on the inside of Rob Allen there in 293. And the car into the ropes on the turn, the wire ropes. Car number 410. Richard Ainsworth now trying to put the bumper in on Hemmingway in 474. Phil Hemmingway having a lot of work to do to hold out the red top, and now there he is, through he goes. Richard Ainsworth from Ulverston in Cumbria, a long distance traveller, certainly down all the way from Cumbria, and one of the first men to confirm his availability for this event here at Northampton. So Ainsworth, he finished in 8th place in the 1984 national points chart, dropped down from 5th to 8th at the end of the season on the final month's gradings. 1,202 points last season. halfway mark has been reached. The Union Jack flag just been withdrawn as Ainsworth really sets about carving up the field at the moment. It's a good way down, looking down for the second placeman Phil Hemmingway. Rod Falding showing up well, but he's half a lap behind the leader. So it's looking good for Ainsworth at the moment in the 354 car. 4 laps to go now. So the last quarter of the race lying in front of Richard Ainsworth. Can anyone make the challenge now? Looks unlikely. Phil Hemmingway a good way behind. He is something like a straight behind, and Rod Falding still half a lap to make up. Of course, the other red top, Joe Jopling, is isolated on the centre green. There is Rod Falding in 36. St. Peter due out later in the meeting. There's 117 getting into the fence, and a wheel has been lost. 117, Rob Scriven getting into trouble, and there's a car out against the fence, just obscured there by that support on the fence. There you see the wreckage on the entrance to the home straight. Can't quite pick up the number from that angle. Into the closing stages of the race now. It looks like a clear victory for Richard Ainsworth in 354. Well, it has been a difficult race to start the season for several of these drivers. It was a very greasy track after the rain, but a good winner there, 354, Richard Ainsworth. So the long journey down from Cumbria down here to Northampton has proved fruitful in the first race here for Richard Ainsworth, stealing a march on some of the other star drivers by racking up the first points of the season. Richard Ainsworth then the winner of race 1 in the County Cup here at Northampton. Well, one of the cars lining up for race 2 is sporting a very distinctive radiator grille there. That's the car of Alan Long, number 279. Remember, if my memory serves me right, I'm sure that we saw that car out in race 1. Anyway, he's out in race 2. On the inside is number 446. And that's the car of Steve Booth. They're the 2 white tops in this race. There's Pete White calling up the yellows. Neil Pokorny in a very, very stylish 74 car there. 4 yellows. And at the back of the field we have the new silver top, Frankie Wainman, 212, finally winning the points championship in 84. And there is the man who used to hold that title and the silver roof last year, number 55, Bert Finnikin, sporting a spoiler this year after last year going with the bare roof. Mind you, it's a very good advertising signboard, even if you don't necessarily adhere to the idea that it aids the car's grip. 213 just going past the bottom of the picture there. Des Chandler, he's got a very stylish blue top car from the new season. 108's there as well, Steve Evans from Radcliffe. There's the 2 white tops out in front. After all those white tops in the previous race, it's interesting to see we only have 2 in race 2. So it's Steve Booth and Alan Long lining up in heat 2. Once more, 16 laps plus a rolling start. Looks like Steve Booth has got problems with that tyre on the rear axle in view, although it could just be deceptive, a mark on the outside. Pete White dropping a red, not the green flag. He's not satisfied with the rolling lap. Reaches behind him for the red. There's trouble already. One car's spun out. Well, several drivers hitting the throttle and not finding the brake in time. 458. Terry Davies from Loughborough spinning out on the home straight. Terry Davies with the motif on the cab. Trying to make out whether it's a Tiger or a Leopard. I think it's a Tiger there. It's a lot of work done on the cars during the close season, and the evidence is there in some very stylish paint jobs. Car 59, Nigel Buster Watson, down from the northeast for racing here at Northampton. Now taking a look at the blues. There's Peter Falding in 33, 213, Des Chandler, 155, the Lincoln Imp, Brian Tuplin from near Lincoln. The blue top just about to reveal its number as it goes around the turn. Sometimes I wish that they all had rear numbers, at least legible ones. Well, that blue top will remain a mystery for the moment. Just trying to get a view of it. It's car 51 indeed. That's Mo Smith, I think, if my memory serves me right, checking down the list. Yes, indeed, Mo Smith, quite a daily performer here at Northampton. 4 blue tops then in race 2. And the Reds once more, 108 Steve Evans. We have 260 Dave Berresford. 55 is Bert Finnikin, and 212 Frankie Wainman, starting at the back, as he's going to have to learn how to do this year. So the two whites battling into the turn. It's Steve Booth going white, Alan going wide, Alan Lund on the inside. Third place is number 188 from the yellow tops. 188, Heap. Oh, trouble on the turn, going right out to the fence there. Steve Booth collecting one of the posts almost as a souvenir. Well, the smoke coming out of that car, I think that was Des Chalmers as it went round the turn. 279 Alan Long from 188. Then just behind is number 74, Neil Pokorny. Well, he wasn't listed originally in the programme for today's racing. Finished 77th in last year's points championship. The barrel is rolling already here in Heat 2. 188's through into first place now. Heat leads from Pokorny in second, Long is third, fourth is Peter Falding, then comes Mo Smith, Bert Finnikin in 55, Davies Berresford in 260, and 108 Steve Evans just being challenged by Brian Tuplin. Then comes Frankie Wainman, Des Chandler, and a yellow top at the back. Les Falding going through on the inside of Pokorny, using the bumper in true classic style to send the second place car wide. Peter Falding through, looking for red top status this year, after last year finishing in 27th place in the points championship. Well, just saw the reds and the silver go through there. Finnikin, Wainman and Berresford just in the middle of the 260 car. Steve Evans left now. Alan Long, having been left well down the order as Buster Watson came through. That was that mysterious yellow. Peter Falding all the way through now into first place. Falding leads from Rotherham. Second is Heap. Third now is Finnikin. Fourth is Berresford. So there's going to be a fine battle for second place at the moment, with Bert Finnikin in 55 challenging number 188. Frankie Wainman not far behind, going through on the inside of London and Mo Smith. Neil Pokorny being taken wide there on the turn. Well, it certainly is much more like it after a fairly chaotic first race. This one a lot more stylish. You can see there Finnikin's adopted one of the sprint car style of spoilers, as shown by Russell Taylor in the Formula 2s last year. A scaled down version though. There's Frankie Wainman going through in 212, 108 Steve Evans. There's Wainman once more hitting the bend. Not too far down, he's through into second place now, is he? Just looking down the order. Calling it now. First place is number 33, Peter Falding. Second place is 55, Bert Finnikin. Then comes Dave Berresford in 260. 212, Frankie Wainman. 155, Brian Tuplin. 51, Mo Smith. Number 188 is Geoff Heap. Then 108 Steve Evans, 59 Buster Watson, and that's basically the field at the moment as Neil Pokorny spun out on the turn. 458 also still in there, Terry Davis, but being lapped now by Dave Berresford in 260. Berresford in third place last year's points championship after being second for quite a while before eventually being caught by John Lund. Dave Berresford from Hyde, what is now Greater Manchester, used to be Cheshire, lying third at the moment behind the 33 and 55 cars. There is the race leader, Peter Falding. Wainman back in third place, fourth place indeed. Second place man Bert Finnikin. Very smart 55 car for the 85 season. The wheels off on the turn. Not certain at the moment who's lost that one. There's Berresford in 260 being challenged now by Wainman. Wainman trying to use the bumper as he goes through on the inside of the 260 car. Blocked out at the turn. It's Mo Smith who's lost the wheel. It's the man from Aveley trying to get off the track. He's doing a fair bit of damage to that stub as he goes off, carving a groove in the tarmac as he finally reaches the sanctuary of the centre green. Peter Falding in the blue top, 33. 3 laps to go. So 3 looming large in this race. Just saw the 188 car of Heap abandoned on the infield. There is second place Bert Finnikin. You can see the gap there on the turn. Peter Falding leads from Bert Finnikin. Now that tail ender I don't think is going to bother Finnikin too much. Going through on the inside of Buster Watson indeed. Peter Falding though has to be a strong tip for red top status in this 85 season. Starts off just as he would have wanted to, with the lead in his first race of the season. Second heat of the day. The last lap coming up now. Peter Falding against Bert Finnikin. 33 against 55. Berresford third, and Wainman in fourth at the moment. Indeed, Wainman through into third. Beresford has been lost somewhere along the line. There he is, pulling onto the infield. It's the win for car number 33, Peter Falding, in heat number 2 of the County Cup. Second, Bert Finnikin in 55. Third place, number 212, Frankie Wainman. That's the top 3 in the second race. Well, as Bert Finnikin comes in, I'll just confirm the results of that first race that we had on the programme. It was Richard Ainsworth first in 3.54. Second was car number 474. Third was 285. Fourth, 104. Fifth, 36, Rod Falding. Sixth was number 16, John Richards. Seventh was 454. And eighth was 272. That was heat 1. We await now for the official confirmed result of heat number 2. Certainly, though, unless any adjustments being made, the 1, 2, 3 reads 33 first, Peter Falding. Second, number 55, Bert Finnikin. And third, number 2, Frankie Wainman. Well, an inevitable development of the 1984 season was that for 1985 we'd be seeing that 100 car in that colour. Harry Smith, the sensation of the 84 season, didn't really start his racing for the year until halfway through the year in the blue top, and then just cleared up during the rest of the season. Marvellous entertainer Harry Smith from Colne in Lancashire, now moving up to a red top status for 85. Also out there is 156, losing my way completely there on the numbers. 156 is Graham Blundell. Now, just before the race starts, I'll take you through the official result of heat 2. It was first, number 33, Peter Falding. Second was 55, Bert Finnikin. Third was 212, Frankie Wainman. Fourth was 155, Brian Tuplin. Fifth was Buster Watson, number 59. And sixth, the final finisher, Terry Davies, 458. Race time, by the way, 4 minutes 47 seconds, for those of you that keep records. So now there we are for race number 3 here at Northampton. Plenty of white tops out in this. The white tops are being spread out, by the way, between the first 3 heats. Each of the white tops, I think, is getting 2 drives each. So leading off in 4.11 is Phil Wheelton from Blaby in Leicestershire. Some spectacular action there on the turn. Harry Smith going through on the inside, hugging the curb. 4.11 leads from, it looks like, 2.15 in second. 2.15, the yellow top car of Nickolls, Geoff Nickolls from Melton Mowbray. 2.15 looking good. Harry Smith already working through. Well, look at that. He's now on the red grade rankings. Look, he's just gone straight through the field. Marvellous, spectacular action there from Harry Smith. No one there could stand in his way. Went through about 8 cars on that turn, and I mean literally through them all. Well, at least almost literally. My goodness. All action, determination from Harry Smith there. Vic Milner ending up out by the fence. By the way, he's sponsored by a sauna in Long Eaton, one of the more interesting ones. Harry Smith just leaving everybody in his wake. First place at such an early start, early stage of the race. It's quite remarkable. Off the back of the grid, Harry Smith, number 100. Still seems strange to see him with the red top. After all, last year in blue. Picked up several titles along the way. And there is Graham Blundell just holding out the challenge of number 328, blue top car of Keith Riley. There it is, Keith Riley challenging Graham Blundell. Blundell battling with the wheel around the turn. There you can see a couple of the white tops dumped in the fence as a result of that challenge by Harry Smith earlier on. Wheel-to-wheel contest there between Blundell and Riley. Also out in this race we have 53, John Lund, the second place man in the points championship for 84. A couple of white tops getting to know each other there on the turn. Number 430, there's John Lund going through, second to Frankie Wainman in the points last year. 1.705.5 points. With quite a gap between him and Wainman on 2.390. There's Bobby Burns also, the other red top, out here in race 3. Popular character, and certainly with Harry Smith and Bobby Burns out in the race, there's plenty going on. Bobby Burns, the Ilford car dealer, in 4.71. halfway stage of the race. Just going through past number 247, Andy Webb. And there is Riley going through on the inside of 430 Mick Crocker. Down blue top going through there. And there's Harry Smith sliding into the turn on the inside of number 233, the white top car of Graham Chapman. 5 laps to go now for Harry Smith. A very comfortable win, providing he holds on in this third race. Just through inside about 4 laps into the lead. There's Phil Wheelton just going past. 247, Andy Webb in front. Smith 4 laps to go, and it's a long way down for the real challenge. John Lund in 53, not too far behind. 156, Graham Blundell. 328, Keith Riley with a strong challenge, but there goes Harry Smith through another tail ender. 3 laps to go. Harry Smith just leaving everybody in his wake. No bother at all for Smith. Of course, Smith, a famous name in stock car racing with Stuart, the legendary Stuart, the world champion, not here today at Northampton, but Harry Smith keeping that name well and truly in the headlines in Formula 1 stock car racing. There's John Lund. Riley just going around that bend. Graham Blundell now has got a flat tyre, so the red top's going to have to pull out surely. Phil Wheelton going through on the inside of Blundell now. Graham Blundell, number 156. And there's the checkered flag for a very comprehensive and comfortable victor, number 100, Harry Smith. He's certainly starting off the way he finished in 84. And I don't think I've seen a red top get through to the front from the back in such a short period of time in the racing we've had here on Screen Sport. Remarkable driving by Harry Smith. Just carved up the field completely on that curve all the way through, and no one could stand in his way. It was like a tank going through. John Lund had a good race. Bobby Burns couldn't quite get up on terms. But when you see Harry Smith going away like that, what can you do apart from just settle back and try and pick up some of the minor points? The winner of race 3, Bobby... here it said Burns. The winner of race 3, number 100, Harry Smith. Well, before we move on to the consolation race here at Northampton, let's take a look at the full positions in Heat 3. First, number 100, Harry Smith. Second, number 53, John Lund. Third, number 328, Keith Riley. Fourth, Bobby Burns in 471. Fifth was number 247, that was the car of Andy Webb. Sixth was number 140, John Russell from Hemmingway. Seventh was number 215, and eighth was number 156, Graham Blundell. Just looking down the list for 215's name, that was Geoff Nickolls, of course, from Melton Mowbray. So those were the top 8 in the third heat of the County Cup here at Northampton. Now we move on to the race that features all the non-qualifiers and late arrivals, the consolation race. 16 laps, running start, 4th race on the programme here at Northampton, apart from the mini-stocks, of course. Vic Milner lines up on the inside. On the outside of him is number 329, Stuart Young from Tamworth. Starter drops the green flag and the race is underway. The consolation, the last chance for these cars. Vic Milner leads from Crocker. 233 is third, that's Chapman. Then comes, Milner's gone out into the fence. They're actually letting Crocker through. Milner is through into second though, just beating off the challenge of Graham Chapman. It's getting very rough out there now. The track is getting greasy and it's getting difficult for some of these cars to maintain their grip. Mick Crocker leads, number 430. Second, Vic Milner, number 41. Then comes 329, Stu Young. Then number 188, Gary Heap. 64 is next. That's Ken Hopes from Huddersfield. Just going through on the inside is Stu Young. Then we have Mo Smith. Got a tyre back on his offside, on his near side wheel. Of course, lost a wheel early on. Joe Jopling just going through in the picture. And the car spinning out. Mo Smith taking the barrels out now. After losing his wheel earlier on, now he's lost his chance in this race. In this race, the red tops, by the way, Steve Evans, Dave Berresford, and 452 Joe Jopling. We also have out there just behind him 139 Stuart Smith from Chesterfield. 430 Mick Crocker leads in the race. He's from Barwell, which I think is in Leicestershire. I would stand corrected otherwise. Mick Crocker leads the Consolation here at Northampton. Spins there as the cars come down the straight. Berresford just edging through on the inside of Stuart Young. There's Smith in 139. Well, the Reds gradually working up into the top 8 places that they need for qualification. Chris Paxford there, 459. There goes Jopling, 452. Paxford ends up in the fence in 459. Just getting back into the race is Chris Paxford. Paxford from North Leach. In the meantime, there's the race leader, Mick Crocker, just going through on the inside of number 9, the novice driver, Graham Askham. And there's Dave Berresford coming through the field. It's Bez, as he's known, just catching the inside edge of the track, trailing Steve Evans at the moment there, number 108. Berresford working his way up well into the qualifying places for the final. Just having to go wide of that tail ender as he pulled off there, number 233, Graham Chapman. Berresford slowing down, taking it easily on the turns, don't really want to overcommit themselves and end up in the fence. It looks now as if Beresford's main work has gone, having worked through the field, now just trailing Steve Evans, needs to stay in that top 8 to qualify for a place in the final. Mick Crocker still out in front, 430. Gary Heap's not far behind in 188. Graham Askham lapped. Then comes 64 and 29. 64's Ken Hopes. 29's Ian Higgins from York. Good to see Ian Higgins back on the track. Captain Chaos, he calls himself, almost like a Bangor name, that. Bringing back memories of Bristol Bangors last year. Do you believe they've got a Captain Psycho down there? Oh, and there's Gary Heap spun out. He was well placed. Has to work to get back in the race, just losing the positions. Watches all the cars going through, having lost positions. Now gets caught by Ian Higgins. Well, he's not too happy to see Ian Higgins back on the track. Well, there is 452, Joe Jopling. It looks like the 3 red tops are going to qualify with relative ease. They're lining up at the moment. Steve Evans in 108, then 260 Beresford, then 452 Jopling. They're a fair way down the order there. Mick Crocker still out in front in 430. 4.5 laps to go now in this Consolation race. Gary Heap getting himself into plenty of trouble on the centre grid, trying to get back in, but you can see how the rain has affected conditions here at Northampton. Stuart Smith, Chesterfield version, going through on the inside of Ian Higgins. Must not be confused with the world champion, of course. That, unfortunately, is the way Stuart Smith will always have to be described. Either way. 459 Chris Paxford. Of course, there's the challenge for the Chesterfield Stuart Smith to start making people say, oh, Stuart Smith, the one that won the world championship, not the one from Chesterfield. Anyway, back to the race. 452 Joe Jopling looking good there. Milner just about to be lapped by Crocker. There he goes through on the inside of Milner. You can see Heap's car parked on the infield. Now trailing Chris Paxford, looking for a way through. 2 laps to go. It doesn't look like the challenge is going to come from the red tops. They're content to let Crocker pick up the major points. In the meantime, Paxford has picked up a barrel on the infield. So Crocker comes around the turn, and the last lap board goes out for Mick Crocker in 430. Second place is a fair way down, and it's Steve Evans in 108, quarter of a lap behind. Then comes 260 Dave Beresford, and either 64 or 452, depending on whether 64 has been lapped or not. 64 will be Ken Hopes from Huddersfield. I think he has. There's the checkered flag, and it's a win for Mick Crocker in 430. So the white top emerges triumphant in the Consolation race. Mick Crocker from Barwell wins the Consolation. So we've had so far 2 reds and a blue winning the heats, and now a white top wins the Consolation. So as the cars come out for the grand final here at Northampton for the County Cup, let's take a look at the official positions now for the consolation race. The winner, number 430, and that was Mick Crocker. Second place, number 108, and that was Steve Evans. Third place, 260, Dave Berresford. Fourth was 64, and number 64 looking down the list was Ken Hopes. Next was 452, Joe Jopling. Then came 139, Stuart Smith. 41, Vic Milner, and 329, Stuart Young. Those were the finishing positions in the consolation event. Now the cars come out for the grand final. You see the yellow tops going down in front of us, down the home straight. A 20-lap final this here at Northampton, plus of course the obligatory rolling start. There's Nigel Buster Watson's car 59 just going through. A late-comer white top, I think, also just adding to it. There's John Russell, number 140 from Hengland Wyke in Yorkshire. 139, Stuart Smith from Chesterfield. 155, Brian Tuplin. 104, Warren Jackson. So the starter, Pete White, watches the cars as they come down on the rolling lap. Red tops now coming into view. There's Harry Smith, number 100. Such a sensation in the 1984 season, and already started off well here at Northampton in 1985 with a win in Heat 3, and that certainly is the best possible start. Also in shot, 452, Joe Jopling. 156, Graham Blundell. 36, Rod Falding. His son Peter also in this, 33. 108 is Steve Evans, and 354, Richard Ainsworth from Ulverston in Cumbria. So the Reds go round on the rolling lap. And now moving on to the superstars. We've had the stars, now the superstars. 53, John Lund just in view. Now the flag about to drop, but no, it's the red flag. They're going to go for another rolling lap. Pete White not too happy with something that happened out there, so he's going to send them round again on this circuit. There's 64, Ken Hopes' car. Once more the blues go past, and John Russell just comes to a halt just in front of the camera there, down on the turn. There indeed is Peter Falding, number 33, son of Rod in 36. Peter last year just short of a red top, I think about 7 places short. Brian Tuplin, the Lincoln Imp, there in 155. Starter getting a little agitated with 1 or 2 of the drivers, sending the cars through at the moment. Retaining his control over them. There's no way they're going to start until he's happy. There's some strong words and gestures to one of the cars going through. I think it's one of the white tops, or indeed the yellow's going through. I'm not too sure if it's car 247. If it is, it's Andy Webb. I wouldn't like to commit myself. There's the white tops. 329, Stuart Young. 41, Vic Milner. 272's also out there. And looking down the list at 272, that is Dennis Witherford. Also there, 454, Phil Haigh. White Top's getting plenty of racing here today. They've already had 2 races each in the heats, and now the flag's being readied. Are we going to get a clear start this time? Pete White with the yellow out, once more signalling to someone in the distance. The yellow still being held. The white's coming round. It's going to be 272 and 329 leading off on the front row of the grid. Dennis Witherford in 272 from Bromsgrove, and 329 Stuart Young from Tamworth. Vic Milner from Nottingham just behind, and then 454 Phil Haigh. They're building up the speed now as they come round on this rolling lap. There's 16, John Richardson. There's the green flag. The race is underway. The grand final here, the County Cup at Northampton. And the car's coming down the home straight, and it looks as if the conditions are going to be very difficult for some of these drivers. Cars spinning already going down the home straight. And there's a couple of blue tops going off. It's Warren Jackson and Keith Riley. 328 car ending up on the infield, Haigh, or rather Keith Riley. They're collecting a barrel in his return onto the tarmac. Buster Watson getting in trouble with car number 215, the yellow top of Geoff Nickolls. Those two piling up on the turn. And the race leader at the moment then is car number 16, that's John Richards. He was 160 last year, now he's car number 16. Starter just confirming with race control, the race leader John Richards. That's knocked the 0 off the end of his number. I think you can see the evidence of that on the side of the car. Richards then leads in the white top. Bobby Burns showing up well there in front of John Lund. Rod Falding's already made the break. Not far behind is Bert Finnikin. So it's Lund against Burns there. John Lund, number 2 to Wainman in the points in 84. Jopling going through. There is a 328 car of Keith Riley, 55 Finnikin going through, and 354 Ainsworth and 452 Jopling. Just behind is Keith Riley. There's 329 Stuart Young being taken wide. There's a car into the fence. Well, a valiant attempt there to take out the cameraman on the turn, not to mention the fence post. Well, the main question at the moment, of course, is which one of those reds is going to be the one that starts breaking through. There is the man in front, John Richards, number 16, looking down through the field. We have another car joining the wreckage on the turn. Looks like it's Stuart Smith in 139. In the meantime, John Richards still leads. It's not too far behind. There's Harry Smith carving his way through the field past Peter Falding, and 454 getting into trouble on the turn there. That was Phil Haigh. Harry Smith not too far off annexing the lead, working his way through the field from the Superstar state, and at the moment Rod Falding's been collected on the turn by Phil Haigh. There's Harry Smith working his way through, still on the inside of Mick Crocker now, being chased by Frankie Wainman in 212. That silver spoiler turning brown very rapidly out in the mucky conditions out in the circuit. There is Richards. Gives you an idea of the distance there. Harry Smith is just going into the third turn of the lap, while he was going into lap 1 on the bed 1 on the next lap. Richards leads in car number 16. Harry Smith, though, closing the gap all the time. He's got to avoid all the wreckage on the track. Richards leads. Not too far behind is John Russell, number 140. Blue top car. At the moment, Rod Falding is lying in what would appear to be third, but he did have trouble earlier. Brian Tuplin not too far behind, then 354 I think it is. Ainsworth, 100 Harry Smith, 212 Wainman. The spin up, Bert Finnikin is stranded on that top turn there. He's been collected by one of the red tops, I think it is. Harry Smith avoided the trouble, so has Frankie Wainman, trailing Smith at the moment. Buster Watson's car abandoned on the edge of the infield. And another car in that fence that's getting very popular down there. It's 272 that's embedded against that pillar, which was the man on the front grid, Dennis Witherford. Harry Smith in 100, closing the gap all the time. Quite a pile-up down there, and they're getting the drivers out of the cars. John Richards has pulled out. Just noticed 16 has pulled off a barrel in the middle of the track. It's getting very difficult out there now. There's Steve Evans in 108. And there is Burns being edged out as Harry Smith drives through into first, but he's onto the infield. Look at him banging a wheel in annoyance as he lost his chance. So Wainman now and Tuplin battle for the lead. Wainman's through. Fairly simple task on the turn, and Frankie Wainman, the national points champion in '84, seems set for a final win. Harry Smith must be so annoyed with himself after heading onto the infield. Had the front door wide open there to take the lead, and then just got himself in trouble onto the infield. So it's Wainman from Tuplin. Then comes Burns. Harry Smith still in with a chance, but he's got all the work to do again, and he's got Wainman in front of him now. Into the closing stages, 5 laps to go of this 20-lap final. Frankie Wainman leads in 212. Seconds Brian Tuplin, 155. Then it's Bobby Burns, 471, and 100 Harry Smith. That about looks like it at the moment. Peter Falding's not far behind, neither is Steve Evans in 108. 140 John Russell, 328 Keith Riley, and I think they're 354 Ainsworth, or did I just mention him? 212 Wainman looking for his first victory of the '85 season. Picked up so many points in the past year of '84, 2,390 points. So far ahead of the second place man John Lund. It was incredible. 685 points, or 684.5 points to be precise, clear of John Lund. There's the pile-up on the turn. There's Bobby Burns' car, I think the third one on the right. Can't quite make out the one in the middle. there's Blundell being edged out now by Wainman. They've got to go carefully on that turn with Buster Watson's wheel just occupying the inside line of the track. It's getting very difficult for these cars, though, to maintain grip on this surface. Frankie Wainman leads in terrible conditions here at Northampton. Unfortunate weather for the opening day of the 85 stock car season. Wainman on the final lap, though. That'll please his many supporters. Frankie Wainman from Silsden in West Yorkshire heading home for another victory to put alongside his 84 wins. Wins the grand final, the County Cup here at Northampton. 2-1-2 first. That's the only official position I can give you at the moment. It looks as if it was Harry Smith that nipped through for second. Third place Brian Tuplin. These are unofficial, I will stress. That got quite confusing out there at times. Looks like Steve Evans could have got a good place. Peter Falding, Bobby Burns. We'll wait for official confirmation just before the Grand National. Well, Frankie Wainman lines up in the Grand National qualifying heat with a one-lap handicap to contend with. There you can see the gap back to the guys who are actually on the front row of the grid. So now let's take a look at the official finishing order in that grand final, the County Cup. First was 2-1-2 Wainman, second 100 Harry Smith, third 155 Brian Tuplin, fourth 53 John Lund, fifth 354 Richard Ainsworth, sixth was number 452 Joe Jopling, seventh was number 16 John Richards, eighth was 156 Graham Blundell, ninth was 471 Bobby Burns, and 10th was 328 Keith Riley. Those are the top 10 in the final. Now we have the Grand National qualifying heat combined with the J&J AD Hairdo 200 series here at Northampton. Wainman with a one-lap handicap to make up, so he's got to make a lot of ground up right from the start. 16-lap race here in the Grand National qualifier. And there's some trouble there on the turn 64, getting himself into some bother. That was Ken Hopes from Huddersfield. There's Wainman. Really, as long as he gets into about fourth place, he'll have done as well as anyone getting eighth. Obviously, points will be doubled up if Wainman gets into the scoring frame. All points will be doubled. Gary Heap there taking out Ian Higgins. This is an all-comers race. All those that are prepared to come out for a final attempt at glory here at Northampton. Car collects a barrel on the home straight. Joe Jopling going through there. There's a car going the wrong way indeed. Blundell goes through. Bobby Burns is there. Joe Jopling 452. Gary Heap. I can also see there Frankie Wainman just in shot. Well, there's 108, Steve Evans. And there's the lineup. Pete Falding, Harry Smith. A car on fire. And at 64, it's Ken Hopes again. He's got the car on fire, so we've already had a fire in the mini stocks early on. Now Ken Hopes' car. And the fire extinguisher it took a while to get going there. And that fire coming under control pretty fast. The red flag comes out, so we're going to have a complete restart to that race. And indeed it was inside a particular amount of laps, so it will be restarted over the full distance. Well, the Hopes car stands forlorn on the infield, having been burnt out there. The fire being kept under control though. That's at least in the engine compartment burnout. The race is being completely restarted with cars back in grade order, although one or two braking very rapidly early on. There's Mick Crocker in 430. And the field going through in front of our camera on the turn. 430, Mick Crocker. The man out in front at the moment. There's a car diving for the infield, and these conditions are not helping the drivers. Taking out two barrels as well. Mick Crocker leads 430, won the Consolation race here at Northampton, and also picked up the Coventry area supporters trophy for the best white top. Coventry District Supporters Club, of course. The CADS trophy for the best white top here at Northampton. trouble on the turn. Look at those sparks. Peter Falding getting in there. Well, some remarkable footage there as those cars all pile into the fence. Well, some excellent work there on the turn. And I must admit there that Tony stood his ground well. I think a lot of us could have run away from that. Yes, we got Tony down at ground level again. So our ground level specialist gets another shot there on the turn. Brian Tuplin now leads in 155, the Lincoln Imp, as he calls himself, on the side of the car first. And there's Harry Smith appearing. 2-3-3 left in the fence there. Graham Chapman. Frankie Wainman trying to work his way through the field. Just past one back marker. Wainman just past the back marker. Well, Wainman's got a long way to go. There's Harry Smith. Smith must be in with an outstanding chance of victory in the Grand National. Another car in the turn. Steve Evans going out to the fence. Joe Jopling cutting through on the inside of him. Also Peter Falding. Harry Smith looking for a way through the field. In the meantime, this is Brian Tuplin, the man that is being trailed by Harry Smith. So Smith is up to second place. It's Tuplin first in 155. Second, Harry Smith, 100. Third place, Jopling, 452. Then Peter Falding, 33. Then Ian Higgins is in the thick of things, being edged out though at the moment by the on-flowing, you could almost say, red tops. There's Ian Higgins in 29. Brian Tuplin spinning into the turn. Got Harry Smith just behind him, so he's got a lot of work to do to hold out Smith. So far, Brian Tuplin's had quite a successful day. Had a fourth in Heat 2, and then in the final picked up third place behind Harry Smith. Wainman catching up now with Bobby Burns. The 471 car under threat from the National Points champion. John Russell there still in the race in the blue 140. Harry Smith closing in all the time now on Brian Tuplin, seeking to use the bumper. 5 laps to go. Brian Tuplin surely can't last that long. Tuplin getting edged out there as Harry Smith drives through. Well, unless something remarkable happens, that's got to be a win for Harry Smith now. Unless Tuplin can retaliate on the turn and put Smith in real trouble. They just can't close in. 4 laps now to go for Harry Smith. Harry Smith leads, Brian Tuplin second, Peter Falding lies third, 4th place Joe Jopling, 5th Graham Blundell, and in 6th place is 354 Richard Ainsworth. And they're real trouble on the turn. And once more, Tony there almost shaking hands with the driver as he landed on top of him. Tony standing his ground well there. We'll be sending him, I think he'll have a bonus for this one today. And an armour-plated shield. Harry Smith leads in car number 100. Brian Tuplin 155. Peter Falding 33 in 3rd place. Right now, turning down on the turn, he's checking his insurance policy. Brian Tuplin pulls off though. Harry Smith in control, in command. Last lap coming up. Well, Harry Smith was really kicking himself for losing out in the final. He just hit the front and then lost control as he hit the front and onto the centre green. Harry Smith, the sensation of the 1984 season, seems set to carve up quite a few titles during the 85 season. Coming through for the checkered flag, the winner of the Grand National, number 100, Harry Smith. 2nd place looks to have gone to Peter Falding at 33. These are unofficial. Then 452 Joe Jopling, 156 Graham Blundell, then 53 John Lund. Looks like then 354 Richard Ainsworth, and getting into the positions 212 Frankie Wainman. Those unofficial, but that's all we have time for here at Northampton. Harry Smith getting 2 wins on the day, winning the 3rd heat, just missing out in the final got back in the race and finished second behind Frankie Wainman, who'd just been behind him all the way through until Smith hit trouble in the final. So that's 2 wins in the second for Harry Smith. And really, who can say that this is not a major threat for the major titles in BriSCA stock car racing for 1985. Harry Smith from Colne in Lancashire wins the Grand National, and I'm sure has won the respect of most of this crowd here today. Harry Smith had a marvellous end to 1984. Now he starts off in fine style in 1985. So as I say, that's all we have time for here at Northampton. We wish you a fond farewell from Brayfield. Look forward to seeing you again for part 2 of our coverage, our continuing coverage this year of BriSCA stock car racing. Goodbye from Northampton.